Chairman Cole, Ranking Member McGovern. It's a great opportunity to testify before this committee on H.R. 2799, the Expanding Access to Capital Act. We passed this in June of last year. We've had a little twists and turns of the legislative calendar, but honored to be here today and trying to get this bill to the floor. In 2012, a divided Congress, just like this Congress, with a Republican House, Democrat Senate, and a Democrat in the White House, passed the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act, or JOBS Act, and President Obama signed it into law in April of that year. The JOBS Act started in the House Financial Services Committee. It addressed several key issues that prevented our capital markets from achieving their full potential. The JOBS Act right-sized overly burdensome regulatory barriers and provided new opportunities for entrepreneurs to access funding and grow their ideas into a business. Now, more than a decade later, we know that the JOBS Act was a success. Our economy is better off for it. However, in 2024, our securities laws remain imperfect. There's a lot of palaver involved in securities laws that make it unnecessarily onerous and complex. And there are common sense steps Congress can make to make this a simpler, easier process for innovators. These steps will continue to fuel economic growth through our financial markets if we take action as a Congress. I'm proud of the bipartisan legislation this House has already passed in 2023 to support capital formation, but our committee is far from finished. Fortunately, the House Financial Services Committee remains committed to finding both simple and innovative solutions to ensure U.S. capital markets remain the envy of the world. In this bill, the Expanding Access to Capital Act, we do just that. This bill is designed to address three key facets of our capital markets. It will strengthen our public markets, help small businesses and entrepreneurs, and create new opportunities for everyday investors to build wealth through our private markets. First, our public markets. This bill aims to reverse the dangerous decline in initial public offerings, or IPOs, in the United States. Some believe the best way to increase IPOs is to force companies to go public by eroding our private markets. However, Republicans remain committed to market incentives that make going public more attractive. We do this by reducing the burdens that force small firms to spend more time on compliance than on growth. This bill expands certain benefits created for emerging growth companies, or EGCs, that were created in the JOBS Act. And it's the JOBS Act's IPO on-ramp that has made a huge difference in our public markets over the last decade. The JOBS Act IPO on-ramp demonstrated that certain compliance burdens can be minimized or delayed without weakening investor protection. That's been proven out over the last decade. Expanding these benefits is a common-sense approach to improve U.S. public markets by extending the IPO on-ramp, which has already, like I said, had a proven track record of success. Second, this bill would democratize fundraising for small businesses and entrepreneurs across the country. Small businesses account for 99.9% of U.S. businesses, and Congress must be responsive to their needs. One of the main concerns we have heard from small business owners and the funds dedicated to supporting startups is the need to expand access to investment capital outside traditional financial centers. This bill accomplishes this goal by permitting venture funds to raise more money from more investors. This will give those funds and small businesses new opportunities to gain exposure to a vastly different group of investors. We shouldn't have venture investment only in Austin, Boston, and Silicon Valley. We should have it across the country, and that should be in every neighborhood in America, not just the most affluent in this country. And our legislation takes a big step to make that happen. Finally, H.R. 2799 creates new and innovative opportunities for everyday investors to save and build wealth through our private markets. Currently, the accredited investor definition locks most Americans out of private markets by reserving these investments, whose returns are often the highest in the marketplace, to those who are already extraordinarily wealthy. This legislation reforms the antiquated accredited investor definition, so wealth is no longer the primary measure of sophistication. This has been bipartisan work to build out this concept, and I'm glad it's a part of this legislation. U.S. capital markets are too important to neglect, and we must prioritize needed improvements for the benefit of both American entrepreneurs and everyday American investors. I'm proud of the bipartisan work Congress did a little over 10 years ago to pass the JOBS Act and strengthen our capital markets. I believe we can and should continue the Job Act's legacy of bolstering our capital markets, and I encourage my colleagues to support H.R. 2799. And I yield back.